Hi guys, I'm Chef Rakhi Vaswani, and as part of HSBC's lovely initiative to make your days at home more exciting and fun, I'm going to share with you some amazing baking recipes. So today's theme is a lovely tea time baking concept where you can bake along with your friends, your family and your children. So let's get started. In this tea time baking session, I'm going to share with you some simple recipes, ingredients of which are very easily available in the market. So you don't have to run around, and that's how simple they are. Yes, not to forget, they're all eggless. So I'm going to start with a blueberry lemon drizzle cake. If you don't have blueberries, you can do whatever regular fruits that are available in the market. Cherries are in season, strawberries are in season, you can use those as well. And you can even bake it without the blueberry. Next, I'm going to show you these amazing double chocolate chip cookies. Again, a fun recipe to make with your children and make that Sunday really special. And not to forget these spice cheese biscuits. They are the most yummiest and perfect to have at your tea time. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started and let's get baking. So guys, the first recipe for our tea time baking is going to be a blueberry tea time cake. Yes, I've used blueberries because now they're really easily available. You can use the local fruits that you're getting, cherries and plums also. But the cake by itself also, minus the blueberry, also is a perfect tea time cake. So guys, for this recipe, I have weighed out all my ingredients. I'm taking butter, condensed milk, hot milk, yogurt, vanilla extract, flour, baking powder and baking soda, and the blueberry that goes on top. And these are the ingredients for my icing, which is icing sugar, lemon juice and lemon zest is what I'm going to add. I'm going to take my 7-inch, you can take a 7-inch or a 6-inch round tin. What I'm taking is a 5-inch. With a 7-inch you'll get a flat cake, a 6-inch will give you a lovely round mound. This is a 5-inch from here and 2.5. Going to grease line that really well. First, we're going to get started with our baking, for which I'm going to use this big bowl. I am using a hand beater. In case you don't have it, you can use a spatula, and I'm going to show you a cut and fold method. You will also require some measuring spoons to weigh out your baking powder and your baking soda. Yeah, so let's get started. So I'm going to start with my butter that's weighed out. It's soft butter, not completely melted. And I'm going to add my condensed milk to that. Now that my butter and my condensed milk has mixed in together and there are no lumps, next I'm going to add in the yogurt. So I need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is an eggless cake, so I want to completely heap it. This is how you go about it. Completely heap it and then level it. So that's 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and I need 1/4 teaspoon of soda, which is, again, you're going to completely heap it and then you just level it like this. Okay, so that's going to go into your dry ingredients. Mix these two things really well. And I'm going to fold my dry ingredients into my mixture. Along with that, I'm going to give a little bit of vanilla to that. This is a vanilla extract. If you have essence, you can use that. You can also use a pod. The vanilla actually brings out a lot of flavor. Now at this stage, if you feel you don't have the hand beater, you can use the cut and fold method, which is like this. Okay, mix and then cut and fold. Yeah, now at this stage I need to keep pouring my milk, which is hot, into my mixture to make it into a batter. That's how simple this mixture is. So if in case you were supposed to do it with the machine, it would be as fast as just one mix. At this stage, finish in all your milk. And make sure you turn your bowl around so that you get a good mix. And that's the consistency. I'm going to show you how the consistency is. Yeah, get all this from the sides and you see you've got a nice smooth batter and it's absolutely ready to go into your tin. So I've got some frozen blueberries which I'm just going to take a handful. Yeah, and it's left its water because obviously it's frozen, but I just want that to bleed into, and look at how beautiful that looks. Yeah, looks lovely. And that's it. It's just that 1 spoon that I'm going to put and not more. So I'm going to show you how to line your tin, whether it's a round or a loaf tin. We've taken the butter paper, only measuring the bottom of the tin. You can see I've taken a pen and I've marked it. Okay, so that's what you need. You don't need it on the sides. It's a very seasoned tray, so that makes a lot of difference. Put in some oil and make sure you generously season that on all the sides, yeah, because then you don't want your cake getting stuck. You do get in the market these lovely loaf paper tins also, which are bake proof paper. You can use that also. They look lovely, but I just wanted to do it in this and show you. Now I'm going to place my baking paper, and then the same, I'm going to put some oil remaining that I have on my brush, and now time to pour in your batter. Okay, so here's my batter. I want it to be nice and marbled like this. I don't want to play around with it much. I'm just going to pour that in, and that's what's going to happen. It's just going to bleed into that. So now you see it looks beautiful. I'm going to take it into the oven to bake at 160, 170 for a good 25 to 30 minutes. Going to insert a toothpick in the center till it comes out clean. Once the cake is baked, all you need to do is check with a toothpick inserted in the center, comes out clean. That was done already. Now my cake is cooled down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get it out of the tin. You can't do it when it's very hot, but yes, once it cools down slightly, you must do that, because otherwise you'll get all condensation. So I'm going to take a palette knife, a small one, and I'm going to loosen the sides of the cake. Very important, but make sure you go twice and don't keep going up and down, because you will cut into the cake. So loosen out all the sides. Remember, I showed you the tip about oiling well. Very important. If you haven't, then your cake is going to get stuck. Yeah, so I've loosened out my sides, and I'm going to gently overturn that, and this, you can see how well we had oiled it. It's come out beautifully. And now what I'm going to do is very gently peel the parchment paper that I had put in, and you can see the blueberries going in all over. Yeah, so that's why you don't go on the sides. You've got a beautiful look, and that's our cake. I'm going to place it on my rack for it to cool further. Now we're going to get started with our lemon drizzle icing on top. So for my lemon drizzle icing, I'm going to take some lemon juice, icing sugar bowl. I'm going to put some zest and hot water, and I'm going to do this all with a whisk. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of lemon juice. That's like 2 teaspoons. In goes all your icing sugar, and now I'm going to add a little bit of the zest of the lime, but just be very gentle. You don't want to go very deep into the skin, otherwise it becomes really bitter. Yeah, and that brings a lot of freshness. It looks really nice, and you can do this with an orange zest as well. Now I'm going to mix that with a whisk first, all of this, and then just make it come together with a little bit of hot water, which I don't need actually eventually, because that's what my consistency. If you feel you need it a little more runny, then that's when you're going to add some hot water, but right now I don't need it because my lemon has done the work, and that's the consistency I want, because once I pour it on the cake, I want it to kind of settle, drip a little, and then just stay. So that's going to be more than enough for my dressing. My cake has to cool down because you can't pour it on a hot cake. It's slightly warm, but that's fine. I just want that drizzle effect to come. So I'm going to start from here onto the whole cake. And at this stage I'm going to stop, because if you see, I've got a nice layer on top and a slight drip and drizzle all over, and that looks lovely. At this stage, if you feel it's dripping, what you could do is just put it into the fridge for 10 minutes and it'll really look lovely. Okay, guys, these are my double chocolate chip cookies. Very easy to make, crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside. So this is an amazing baking treat that you can make with your kids, your family, and enjoy this while you're at home. So let's get baking. For the double chocolate chip cookie, these are the ingredients that we need. I've already weighed them out on a weighing scale. I've got some butter, I've got brown sugar and castor sugar, which I'm going to beat together. I've got some flour, cocoa powder and 2 kinds of chocolate. So you can take any kind of milk chocolate and a dark percentage chocolate to give that. You could even do a white and a dark. And I've got some fresh cream, I've got some corn flour and I've got my baking soda. So you will need definitely a bowl and a beater again. In case you don't have it, you can use a spatula. And of course, I need my measuring spoons to weigh out a few of my ingredients like the baking soda. So let's get started. So now I'm going to start with my double chocolate chip cookie recipe. It's a lovely recipe, very simple. But the trick about chocolate chip cookies is you make your batter and you got to chill it in the fridge for half an hour. I'm sure you have all the time to do that in the afternoon. So the best trick is once you make your batter, your dough, obviously we're making a dough, you got to chill that for half an hour, then shape it, try and again chill it into the fridge and then bake it. You'll get the best looking chocolate chip cookies, yeah? So that's the trick and the tip coming from the chef. So I'm going to start with my butter. To this I'm going to add my brown sugar that I've used. This is again very easily locally available in the market, guys. There's nothing you have to go out of the box. And I'm going to use castor sugar again. Castor sugar also you get multiple brands even online and at your general stores. So I'm going to put both the sugars as well as butter. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to start beating 3 things together with my hand beater. What you're looking for is both the sugars to be completely mixed in with your butter, because otherwise it's just going to look into your cookie. Your cookie is not going to have enough sweetness also. Alright, now at this stage I'm going to add in my flour, my cocoa powder as well as my baking soda. So I'm going to mix all of that and put that all in together, but I'm going to sieve the mixture. Okay, so now this is mixed in, as you can see. I'm going to put that onto the side. And I'm going to start mixing my dry ingredients. That's my sieve. So I'm going to put in my flour first. Okay. Into the flour, I need to put in my cocoa powder, which is already weighed out. That's approximately 15 grams. And now I need half a teaspoon of baking soda. So always heap it, okay, and then level it. That's the way to go. All right. That's in. And then I have some corn flour also that's going into the mixture. Now all these dry ingredients, need to be giving a thorough mix them really well. Okay, see, you can see the lumps, and that's the reason you need a sieve, because otherwise you're going to just get an uneven looking cookie with the cocoa powder and all not being mixed well. So at this stage what I'm going to do is I'm going to directly sieve it into my bowl, then we'll finish it with our cream. Okay, so now I'm going to sieve my dry ingredients into my butter and sugar mixture, and you can see all the lumps that are there are just going to clear out really easily. This is something you really need to take care. Can you see that? And you don't need that. Yeah, get that out. I'm going to finish it with my cream and make the whole thing come together. So that's fresh cream that I'm using. This is a Tetra Pak or a dairy milk cream that you need to use. Please don't use ghar ka malai over here. That's not going to give you any results. So at this point of time, I need to use my hands, because if you feel, look at that, when I just make it come together, the moisture is enough. Otherwise you feel that it's very dry, but it's not dry. You need to get your hands into it and make it come together like a dough. All right, and this dough we're going to now mix with some milk chocolate, a handful. Now this is up to you, how much ever you want, and a handful of dark chocolates. You can place them even after you've shaped your cookies. So feel free to make your own beautiful designs that you like. Make that whole thing come together, and we're going to chill this into the fridge for a good half an hour. Yeah. So you see now my dough has come chilled from the fridge. I'm going to divide these into 8 equal roundels. Always better to get equal portions so that your cookies will bake evenly. So I'm just going to round them up. Okay, and I'm just going to start placing it. I'm not doing anything to it. This one looks like a little bigger to me. I'm just going to add that there. I'm just roughly making them the same size, and you want to make it into roundels. Place them apart. So very important tip, guys, this is a silicone mat. You can use a baking or a parchment paper, but you know, they really give you amazing cookie results. It's a one-time investment, and again, they are easily available online also and at all bakery stores. You can also use a baking paper or a parchment paper or a butter paper, but they tend to get stuck to it. So a silicone mat really works wonderful. So now these are going in to chill in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. So now that my cookies have chilled in the fridge for good 30 to 40 minutes, they will hold their shape better. The reason we do this is so that the butter and the cookies don't shrink. You know, your cookies are not going to shrink and they're going to take a beautiful shape. So I'm going to bake these at 165 for a good 12 to 14 minutes, and they're going to be lovely. Okay. So guys, my cookies had been baked and they were cooling down, and now I'm going to get them onto a plate. You can see they're looking gorgeous and lovely. And like I said, if your kids want some M&Ms and some gems, you can even, instead of the chocolate chips, use that. And you can even remove the cocoa powder completely, replace it with the 15 grams of flour, and you get this off-white looking with the chocolate melting into it. These are amazing. All you have to do is just have them with a glass of milk, and they're lovely. And trust me, if you're going to make this with your your spouse or your kids, you can open your own stall, guys. These are really, really lovely, and as you've seen, they're easy to bake. So happy baking. So now we're going to make spiced cheese biscuits. This is a lovely recipe. It's amazing to do this with your children. All the recipes that I'm showing you, you can make it with your spouses or with your children. They're really easy to follow. So these are my ingredients. I'm going to start with my butter. I'm going to use a nice cheddar cheese. Whatever cheese you have in the house, really don't worry. So whatever cheese you're using, whichever brand you're using, it's okay. So my ingredients are really simple. We've got butter, we've got cheese, we've got fresh cream. This has to be from the pack or from a dairy milk. You can't use ghar ka malai. Yeah, some milk, flour, baking powder, and some spices. Now if you have children in the house, don't make it spicy. I'm going to add chili powder and mustard powder, but you can actually avoid the chili powder, and what you could do is put some nice mixed herbs. So for your spiced cheese biscuits, here are my ingredients. I've weighed out everything. That's butter, that's cheese. I'm using cheddar. You can use any brand you like that you have in the house. You can do a mix of cheddar and parmesan. We've got fresh cream. You can't use malai. You've got some milk. I've got some salt, baking powder, and for flavoring I have mustard powder, I have chili powder, and that's for the garnish. On top is poppy seeds. You can even use sesame. The main ingredient is my flour, and all you need is mix everything into a bowl, and I am going to use a hand beater. And of course, measuring spoons for my baking powder and all my spices. This is the cutter that I'm going to use. You can use any, even back of a bottle cover round, and you can use whatever shapes you like, round, heart shapes, square shapes. I will use a rolling pin and a little flour to roll them out flat and then cut out. Yeah, so let's get started with the recipe. So I'm going to start with my butter. I am using salted butter, guys. If you do use unsalted, then please add a pinch of salt. And I'm going to add my cheese. This is all weighed out, guys. Baking is a science, so you can't put anything which is just randomly. Everything has to be weighed out. And then in goes my cream. This is my fresh cream. So I'm going to use a hand beater. And you can use a wooden spoon for the same to just make it come together, but I just find it more faster to do it with a hand beater. Okay, now I'm going to keep that aside, and I'm going to mix all my dry ingredients. So I'm going to put half a teaspoon of baking powder, again the same way. Just going to heap it, level it, and put it away. I'm going to season that with chili powder. Like I said, if you have doing this with little children, they might not like the chilies. You can even add some mixed herbs. Okay, and then to that I'm going to add a little bit of mustard for the flavoring. That's really going to add a lot of flavor. And mix these dry ingredients. This dry ingredient is going to go into my cheese mixture. So now I'm just going to get rid of all these ingredients, mixing in the dry ingredients into the mixture, and then we're just going to make it come together with milk. So I'm just going to bring in my cheese, butter and cream mixture. Going to put in all my dry ingredients here, and you can go in with your hand if you like. We will need the milk to make it come together. This is going to be a very soft dough, so don't worry about that. We are going to chill it into the fridge. So you can use a hand beater or a spatula. Now I'm just going to use my hands to make it come together. So as you can see, this is a very sticky dough. Don't be worried about it, because we have to chill this in the fridge for a good half an hour to 45 minutes till it is pliable. So it has to be a consistency where you can roll it onto your platform and you can cut out shapes. So at this point of time, yes, you can feel it's really sticky, but it will come together, and trust me, they turn out to be the best spice cheese biscuits. So I'm going to chill this into the fridge now for 30 to 40 minutes, and then we're going to roll them. So here you go. The cheese biscuits, spiced ones, are now pliable, not very soft. I'm taking just half of it. I'm going to add some flour, and on my rolling pin as well, I'm going to take some flour and we're going to roll this. Like I said, this one is a very interesting one. Please try doing this with your kids also. They're going to love it. We have classes where I get the kids to do small stars in heart shape. They really look nice, and the kids get very excited. So this is how thick I want you to roll. Please have a look, just like a roti, and you can see it's quite pliable. When you had seen it earlier, it was literally so sticky, and now look at it. It's perfect. I can even flip it over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cutter, dip it into the flour, and I'm going to start cutting. Okay. Now another thing that I want to do is I don't want this to fluff up. If you like it that way, then it's great, but I want to dock it a little. Okay, so that they don't fluff up. Now I'm going to do that straight away here, just like this. And place it on a silicone mat, because that's what's going to give me the even baking. You can use a butter paper. It's absolutely fine to use a butter paper. So all you have to do is just keep doing this and keep baking. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the first tray, and then I'm going to keep doing this again and just lift up all of this, and then all you have to do is lift these up. And if you have the time, just chill it again into the fridge before you bake it. Otherwise you can go directly into baking and you'll get the perfect spice cheese biscuits. So I'm going to bake this at 160, 170 till it's nice and crispy. When they come out of the oven, they're not going to be that crispy. They'll be a little warm and soft. The minute they cool down, they'll be nice and crispy. Okay, so they'll take around 15 to 20 minutes to bake. Don't increase the temperature because you don't want to burn them. There's cheese in that. Okay, so let's get baking and we'll come back with our whole menu. So this is how your spice cheese biscuits are going to look after cooling down. They're nice and crispy and really yummy. So like I said, if the children don't like it spicy, omit the chili and the mustard to it and just add some mixed herbs, and that should also do the trick. Okay, I've got some more baked. I'm going to line up everything and I'll see you soon.